Guess that's all right.
Get in.
So, you know, a lot of games have a main menu with single player, co-op, and multiplayer. But we've decided from the get-go that we were going to fight those barriers and try to bring the full experience to players inside the Paladin. So you boot the game, you're in the Paladin, and you've got access to all of these missions. You've got access to Spies vs. Mercs in the SMI, you've got access to co-op, you've got access to single player. All of this is accessible from the SMI. The real interesting thing that we're trying to do with Blacklist is we're blurring the lines between multiplayer and single player. So we've got, you know, Spies vs. Mercs adversarial, we've got a dedicated co-op campaign, we've got the single player campaign, and we've got missions that are kind of like in between. So we've got a set of 10 missions that can be played single player or co-op.
In co-op, it's probably my favorite mode and also the most frustrating, because sometimes you're playing perfect and it's your partner that's making a mistake, and then you're like, dude, wake up, it's you, we need to retry, you just made me lose 20 minutes, let's go.
And we actually spent a lot of time making sure that you needed to play them as co-op almost. You really felt that even while you were playing them as single player, wow, it would be great if I had someone else here. It would be that much better. One thing we did was we tuned it for co-op. We didn't tune a co-op style and a single player style. We tuned it for co-op specifically so that it felt like single player was more of a bonus.
They really, I think, embraced the idea that in a co-op experience, especially with two players, you need both players to feel like they have a critical role to play. And that the level design and the design of the challenges needs to constantly promote and enable players to give each other support and to take turns having their moment of, you know, to shine. And I think they nailed that. You know, that's a thing that I think this group did that, you know, we just kind of scratched the surface of on Conviction, and I think these guys have taken it to its next logical limit.
It's really about, it's less about tons of features, it's less about adding a lot of new stuff, and more about really intelligently designing your levels, putting those enemies, those archetypes, using the right guys, putting them in the right spot, so it's not the classic way of, oh, his back's to this window, how convenient. Everybody's looking at each other, everyone's watching each other's back, so I'm talking more about the enemies, and so it makes it that much harder for the players to get in there and go through the levels without both players being there to support each other. Narrative-wise, Briggs is kind of the protege to Sam Fisher, and he actually comes in a little bit green. You can kind of see a lot of CIA that's in him, and a lot of the plays by the rules type of aspect. And Briggs really shows a lot more of who Sam is. So as you're playing as either character, you can really see that relationship kind of grow, and you can see that Sam Fisher was kind of a lone wolf always in the past, and now he has to really learn how to be a leader, learn how to command his people, and really train his people to be able to take on anything.
So in co-op, it's really about Briggs learning what it takes to be a Splinter Cell, what it takes to be a Sam Fisher, and understanding that the mission is first, and then regardless of who you're with and who you care and who you would love, the greater good is the most important.
Wrestling fan?
You said non-lethal, you didn't say how.
Quieter the better.
I mean, really when it comes to co-op, we really focused on making sure, again, 2 players are needed. There's tons of variety there. We really wanted to make sure that it was balls hard, I guess you could say, and really challenging to the players. That was really one of our first things we said was, no matter what, co-op needs to be challenging, and you need to make sure that both players have a really, really tough and really, really fun time.
When we did Conviction, people were like, this is great, we really love the co-op, we love the single player, but where's my Spies vs. Mercs? So we're really excited to bring it back in this version for Blacklist. When you're playing 2v2, when you're playing our Spies vs. Mercs classic mode, really it becomes so personal because it's really just 2 other guys in the opposing team and you and a friend. So it's kind of like you and a co-op buddy playing against 2 other people, and it starts to change things because you actually learn the names of the people you're playing with and against. You're not thinking like, I'm going to get that one guy who's beside my objective. You're thinking, I'm going to get Steve.
When it's 2v2, a lot of the tension comes from the anticipation. You have to wait, you have to listen. It's really, like I said, intimate as an experience. So it really feels stealth. stealthy as a game, and you really need to collaborate and communicate with your teammate, because like you have the team, basically, when you're on Classic.
When you start playing Spies versus Mercs in Blacklist mode, it's a much more drop in and play, slightly faster pace kind of an experience, and it's really more about what are the enemy team using so far as their different loadouts and their gadgets. You know, do they have a guy with a flying drone? Well, we need something to counter that. And then what are they going to bring to counter our saboteur who's taking out their flying drone? And we sort of have that constant blend going on, but it's a slightly faster paced game and more of a squad based game. It feels a little bit different in its pacing.
I think that one of the biggest challenges that the team in Montreal had to face is to bring a first-person shooter experience that was on par with what the competition is offering.
So in terms of going to first-person perspective in Spies versus Mercs, I think that there definitely is a difference. You know, I often find that that third-person games really are unbelievably difficult to make because we have to realize everything in the world, and then we have to place our character in it. And not only does he have to move properly, but he has to look great in every situation. That is your primary focus. Now, when you go into first-person, you do lose that, and the environment becomes a star. But for us, you know, the hooks and of our art direction really kind of made it very cohesive.
We had to make FPS maps that felt good to play, so you had like a decent shooting experience. And then we had to strap all this additional spy infrastructure to it. We had to have pipes and ledges and vents for the spy to move through, because our goal was to allow the spy to play a really stealth experience for the players who demand that, especially for classic mode, that we needed to make it so that spies can actually go in, if they wanted to, without killing any mercs and take out their objectives. We've played those maps like an hour every day for the duration of the project. We've played them back when the whole map was like gray and purple and made out of Lego blocks and stuff. So it's been great for us to just sort of constantly tweak and tune and make sure that what we're bringing players are maps that are really, really fun to play and provide a balanced and fun experience that's fun to play over and over again.
Probably my favorite thing from Blacklist is the fact that the entire game comes alive through the economy system and the customization options and the amount of variety and options that you have. Anything you do in the game, single player, co-op, multiplayer, you earn currency. And that currency you can spend to upgrade SAM, upgrade your spy in Spy vs. Mercs, upgrade your Merc. It doesn't matter where you spend it. You choose how you build Fort Echelon, the Paladin, your character, your Sam Fisher, based on how you like to play, what you like to play. And that feels pretty awesome. For the first time in Splinter Cell, we're doing this.
All right, let's go.